You got one brother with you in Milwaukee, another in LA. Have you ever thought about what it'd be like having everyone together?
I think that would be amazing. Obviously, we spend more time together, and I'm 100% sure my mom would love that. But if we could team up in a team in Milwaukee, LA, whatever, that'd be awesome. But if we could team up in a team in Milwaukee, LA, whatever, that'd be awesome.
All right, so it's official. The Giannis Antetokounmpo watch is officially on. And it's going to be pretty fun, yet a little annoying and a little irritating, because this guy could literally go on TV and say he loves how beautiful Los Angeles is, or he loves the beaches of Miami. And then we could have the media distort it out of proportion and say, oh, Giannis is going to Los Angeles or Giannis is going to Miami. And something like that has happened before already. In the past, Giannis came out and said he would love to team up with his brothers in LA or another team. And the media took that and ran away with that narrative immediately. But today, I think we actually have something that we need to sit down and discuss, because I think it's something that is actually quite significant. Now, before we get to the content, guys, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on my notifications to help the channel grow. And on top of that, I live stream on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Make sure to check me out on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok as well. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, I've made arguments for both why Giannis would stay with the Milwaukee Bucks and why Giannis would leave the Milwaukee Bucks. I mentioned the fact that Giannis could potentially stay because that Supermax contract is a truly remarkable contract for him to secure. And we've seen it happen many times in the past. We've seen a team sign a player to the Supermax and then trade him to a different team. More recently, I'm thinking about Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook stayed with the OKC Thunder, even though things were kind of looking bleak. Yeah, they just were able to secure Paul George in a trade, but that was enough to get Russell Westbrook to sign a Supermax extension with the OKC Thunder, and the Thunder were able to completely dispel the notion that that was an untradeable contract, taking advantage of a very desperate Houston Rockets team when they were able to send Russell Westbrook to the Rockets in return for Chris Paul and multiple first-round picks. Now, they used Chris Paul, build up his stock a little bit, and now he's on the trade block as well, or it appears to be. While that might be the only thing that keeps Giannis in Milwaukee, the thing that will push Giannis away the most, that I mentioned briefly in my previous video, is the fact that Milwaukee doesn't seem that committed to winning. And they proved this last offseason. In a very crucial year, they allowed Malcolm Brogdon to go. They didn't match Malcolm Brogdon's contract with the Indiana Pacers, and they allowed quite possibly one of the most important players on the roster to just walk away to the Indiana Pacers with barely any compensation left. I know it was a sign and trade, but still, how could you commit to a organization that clearly isn't 100% committed to winning, is okay with the possibility of being a little bit worse just to save a couple dollars? Why would you want to commit to an organization like that? I want you to bear these two sides of the argument in mind as you're watching the video, because today is the first step that we saw in the Giannis Antetokounmpo saga. So today, if you go on Giannis's Instagram, you'd see he's now only following 9 people, which means he unfollowed all of his Bucks teammates on Instagram, and he's only following 9 people. So there's multiple things you could take away from this. 1, Giannis is trying to send a message that he's leaving. Or 2, Giannis is trying to put a little bit of pressure on the Milwaukee Bucks. Make them sweat a little bit. You know, life isn't all good just because he said that he's going to stay in Milwaukee as soon as they lost. And when they lost that series to the Miami Heat and Giannis came out and immediately said,
but at the end of the day, you gotta learn from everything that goes on in your life and in your career, and hopefully we can learn from this and get better as a team and come back, and hopefully we can build a culture in Milwaukee that for many years that we can come out here and compete every single year for a championship.
I knew that he was kind of still in his emotions. I knew that that wasn't something that we could 100% take for what it was. When your team just lost a series, you're not going to come out in the post-game press conference and immediately say, I am demanding a trade. You just lost a battle with your teammates, man. That kind of comes off as insensitive, and it makes it seem like you weren't even that invested in the series. Now that he had some time to really sit down and mull it over, there is the possibility that something pushed Giannis Antetokounmpo into this direction to potentially want to move on from the Milwaukee Bucks. But at this point in time, there has never been a formal trade request, and this could also be to put some pressure on the Milwaukee Bucks to get Giannis some help, maybe make some trades. This is definitely not the core that he could run it back with. So if you ask me what I think Giannis is doing, is he's just trying to pressure the Milwaukee Bucks to make a move. And I don't think there is a formal trade request coming in yet. I don't think there's going to be a formal trade request coming until quite possibly like towards the end of free agency or the beginning of the new NBA season. And here is why. Giannis, I really believe, is trying to find every excuse to stay in Milwaukee. I think in his heart of hearts, he wants to remain a Buck for life. But I think even more importantly to Giannis is the opportunity to compete for championships now that he is entering the prime of his career. And we've seen this happen countless of times. Many star players will always try to join the best winning situation for themselves so they can win a championship and take advantage of their prime to put themselves in the best position to win championship. And we saw this most famously with LeBron James in 2010. He did this first, but we also saw it to an extreme with Kevin Durant, where he joined a 73-win Golden State Warriors team. I don't think this is 100% sending a message. You could look at this from two sides at the end of the day. Either Giannis is trying to send a message to the Milwaukee Bucks that, hey, you better make a move, because if I come back for the beginning of the 2020 to 2021 season, well, I guess technically just the 2021 season by the time the season starts, and I see the same exact team around me. I still see Eric Bledsoe, Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, Dante DiVincenzo, Pat Connaughton, and I see more or less the same team, the same head coach. We're running it back just as things were, then I am going to demand a trade. If I see stagnation, I am going to demand a trade. And at this point, I think Giannis is pretty much doing way more, or is being way more sympathetic and way more easygoing about his situation than your typical star. He just wants to compete for championships. And I know that might be a lot to ask from a small market team like Milwaukee, but if they're able to find a way to get it done, I do think he'll stay. I really think if they find a way to sell Giannis on this team and to tell him, hey, we're making these changes this year to put you in the best position to win a championship, and hell, if they even go out and maybe pay some luxury tax on top of that, I think that's enough to keep him. Honestly, this is a guy that really just wants to win at the end of the day, and it's very doable. The East is still super freaking weak. I know the Miami Heat just made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I know that they're facing the Boston Celtics, but I don't think either of those teams are necessarily unstoppable. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you take from Giannis Antetokounmpo unfollowing his Bucks teammates and coaches, and even the Milwaukee Bucks himself? Do you think there's a bigger thing to this that I'm not looking into? Do you think I'm overanalyzing something? We're live on Twitch right now discussing the situation. It's twitch.tv/FlightMike. I'm your boy, TheFlightMike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.